And I turned this beautiful violin line into a nice little heavy metal motif. I'm on a quest, a mission if you will, to find which piece of classical music, or piece of a piece, or piece of a piece, well, you know what I mean, that makes the greatest heavy metal riff of all time. As it stands, I've scoured YouTube, and by scoured I mean I've watched 3 or 4 videos on the subject, but all I've really found are entire classical songs set to heavy metal. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about taking a part of a classical song and making that the riff which is the foundation of an awesome heavy metal song. So please join me on this journey and let me know in the comments which one you think is the winner. The first song on my list is Turkish March by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. That's right, I've started with a bang. In case you haven't heard it, let's give it a listen in its classical form. Now let's heavy metalify it. The second song is one that was mentioned time and time again when I put this question out to my subscriber community, and that is Paganini's Fifth, Caprice. Now, of course, you can find many versions of this played in a heavy metal style online, but I wanted a riff to be the foundation of a song, so I focused on one little segment. Once again, let's hear it in its classical form. Now let's hear it with a little chug, chug, chug. For the next song, I ended up going with just the bass line of a specific song, Nocturne in E minor, Opus 72, number 1, composed by Frédéric Chopin. As I play it in its traditional classic form, listen for the bass line. Now, does that bass line make an awesome heavy metal guitar riff? Let's give it a listen and see. As I continued my search, I turned to the scary Dream of a Witch's Sabbath by Hector Berlioz. Once again, there was this deep, powerful bass line that happens about 3 minutes into the song that I decided that might make a very compelling heavy metal riff. But first, let's hear it in the traditional form. And now, I'm gonna make it metal. Of course, one of the most commonly requested songs when I put this question out to the community was The Rite of Spring by Igor Stravinsky. This song practically did the job for me because, quite frankly, this may have been the very first instance of the heavy metal chug chug chug. And he did it before an electric guitar was even invented. All he had to do was play an E major and an E flat major chord at the same time. Here's the traditional version. See, the work's practically done for me, but let's go ahead and see how it sounds heavy metalified. As I passed the midway point of my quest, I came across Danse Macabre by Charles Camille Saint-Saëns, and I turned this beautiful violin line into a nice little heavy metal motif. Let's hear it. Of course, any search for the greatest heavy metal riff among classical music pieces would be absolutely incomplete without Hall of the Mountain King by Edvard Grieg. I once maintained that perhaps he invented heavy metal. I got a lot of flack for that, but I still think he was seeing in the future when he created that monster. Here it is in its classical form. Now let's make it chuggalicious. When I announced this quest to my community, quite a few people requested Antonio Vivaldi's The Four Seasons, but one person specifically mentioned Concerto No. 2 in G minor, and when I gave it a listen, I was shocked to hear what I believe were the seeds of Bark at the Moon by Ozzy Osbourne. Let's see if you can hear it. Let's try my heavy metal version and see if it's more apparent. We're getting close to the end, so I must mention that by far one of the most requested songs of all was From the Planets by Gustav Holst, and the song is Mars. And I believe one of them mentioned that Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath admitted this song inspired his intro for the self-titled song Black Sabbath. Let's hear it in orchestra form. Yes. And of course, as a heavy metal riff. Alas, my quest has reached its final song. This is one that we've all heard, often in movies at very intense moments. It was, of course, requested quite a few times. It is none other than Carmina Burana by Carl Orff. And I don't know about you, but it does make a pretty cool heavy metal riff. Here's how it sounds traditionally. And now for one last time, I'm making it metal. Please let me know in the comments which one of these classical music pieces would make the greatest foundation for an awesome heavy metal song.